Good afternoon. Dear colleagues, students, and all the participants, before starting our work, I would like to ask you to turn on your web cameras so that I could take a memorable photo of our session. Please. Thank you. So let's start. Dear participants, welcome to the student session of the 5th International Conference on Computational Linguistics and Intelligent Systems. I'm Svitlana Petrasova. I will moderate this session together with Natalia Borysova. The session is divided into 3 parts. Each one lasts 40 minutes. So we'll listen to 12 speakers at the session. That's why we ask all the participants to follow the time limit, 5 minutes for the presentations and 5 minutes for answering questions. I wish a faithful and fruitful work at our session. Let's start. The first presentation is an algorithm of automated identification of the noun Думка plus verb and verb plus noun Думка, metaphorical model meaning based on the novel Muzey, покинутих секретів, written by Oksana Zabuzhko. And the author is and the speaker Vitalii Karasov.
Yep. Let me share the screen.
Yeah, please share your presentation.
Okay. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Vitalii. I'm a student of the Department of Applied Linguistics, Lviv Polytechnic National University, and this thesis was written under the guidance of Professor Olena Levchenko. And let me start. So the principles of automated identification of metaphoric combination of noun Думка plus verb and vice versa have been described. The research has been carried out on the novel Muzey, покинутих секретів, written by Oksana Zabuzhko and drug version 10 corpus that served as the source of the research material. According to the search results in the text corpora, it was found that with the help of the models of T groups, both figurative and direct meaning can be realized. It should be noted that basically 71 of cases has figurative meaning, and only rarely we came across a direct one. Such a feature of the considered math-first model is due to the fact that the concept of Думка is abstract in itself. And due to this, the search field is significantly expanded and doesn't require preliminary screening of direct meaning of the lexeme Думка, and method for identifying the metaphor of the model noun Думка plus verb and the model of verb plus noun Думка. And as a part of the study, an analysis was carried out not only of the noun Думка plus verb, but also of the verb plus noun Думка. This approach is due to aspiration to reveal as fully as possible the author's intention, which constitute the basis of the metaphor, as well as a nature feature of the Ukrainian language. So using the tag lemma Думка and tag verb in text of the novel, 20 contexts were found, 2 of which are physiological units. During Думку і багатій used 2 times, подати на думку. 11 are used in a figurative meaning. The metaphor Думка думку доганяє is undertaken 3 times. And here on the screen, you can see the context. And within this group, there is like subgroup of metaphor constructed according to the noun Думка plus verb and verb бути model. The noun plus verb form model implements like various metaphorical models. So, for example, сподати на думку metaphorical model, думка це locus, думка думку доганяє metaphorical model, думка це істота. Using the tag verb plus lemma Думка. 11 contexts were found, all of which are used figuratively. Within this group, two subgroups of metaphors can be distinguished. Metaphors where the lexeme Думка acts as a subject, thus performing an action like глухо скидається думка, блимає думка, and metaphors where the lexeme Думка acts as an object. Ткнеться думкою, розігнатись думкою. In direct meaning, the verb розігнатися can be used with an action subject, for example, автомобіль. Here you can see the context, but quantitatively these groups are approximately equal. Yeah, 5 of the first subgroup and 6 of the second one. It is also notable that in this group, in contrast to the previous one, the authors use samples of expressively labeled vocabulary, шибає думка, ткнешся думкою. And the metaphors of groups 1 and 2 revealed in the research process also differ significantly in their semantic context. So the lexeme Думка in metaphors and groups has like human properties. The personalized properties of Думка are most often associated with a swift movement, like Думка набігає, Думка доганяє, Думка догнала. Yes, and the process of identifying a metaphor will have its own characteristics and specific stages depending on the model of the metaphor under consideration. So while identifying a metaphor of noun plus verb model, a prerequisite is to take into account the potential of inversion as a literary device when creating a metaphor. That is, the analysis must be carried out in both directions, like noun plus verb and vice versa. It is also important that the model under consideration assumes the presence of the other elements, without which its metaphoricity cannot be fully disclosed or cannot exist at all. And automated identification of a phrase as a metaphor involves several stages of analysis, among which the main ones are working with a semantically marked up corpus of text, determining the semantic categories of lexeme, and working with dictionary. While developing an algorithm for automatic identification of metaphors, we should pay attention to how collocations are combined, whether it is abstract with concrete or vice versa. Thank you for your attention. And
yeah, dear participants, your questions, please.
Yes.
Hi, thank you for an interesting talk. I have a question. What grammatical constructions have you researched? Because you, why have you looked for a search for Думка plus verb? But you didn't say nothing about the grammatical form of the word Думка. The majority of
like noun plus verb.
your examples were with Думка as a subject, but there are also other examples, such as during Думкою багаті, where
Yes.
Думка is not a grammatical subject.
Like Думка acts as a subject, yes, and also like Думка acts as an object.
I think it will be perfect if you show all the register of grammatical constructions and maybe search it more accurately.
Let me check on my laptop. I'll have this.
It's just my Думка.
Like recommendation for the future.
Okay.
Thank you. Other questions, please? I will ask, how could you apply the results of your research? What is the practical value?
Well, like it was just the beginning of my topic because it's like thesis, and in the future I want to work with semantically markup corpus, and in Grok we have just this semantically markup, but just the most like one of the most usage lexemes. And in the future, I want to implement those knowledge that I get during my research into something bigger, like to create the algorithm and to create the software in order to define the metaphors automatically.
Okay, thank you, Vitalii. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So the next presentation is a media discourse analysis based on Ukrainian spoken and written corpus. The speaker is Maria Razno, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Maria Razno, and this is the work with Nina Khairova, and the topic of this work is media discourse analysis based on the Ukrainian spoken and written media discourse corpus. So the corpus linguistics is a branch of linguistics, the subject of which is the study of the principles and methods of forming text corpora, as well as the development of computer systems for their processing. Corpora construction is very important for maintaining various language research. That's why the creation of a corpus is a duty to a native language. One of the main problems in NLP is the processing of discourse, creation of series and models of how statements stick together, forming a coherent discourse. Due to this fact, for the discourse parsing, it is necessary to extract a coherent segments, which could be determined by discourse markers. To achieve coherent discourse, it is necessary to focus on a connectivity of relations. We take two terms S0 and S1 to represent the meaning of two related sentences, where the term S0 can cause a statement proved by S1. Discourse markers are language units that used to establish the explicit connection between given segments of the discourse and the previous utterance. According to grammar division, they can be insert words, they can be conjunctions, contractors, and prepositional expressions. Also, we can divide media discourse markers on semantic meanings like additional, causal, conditional, temporal, and opposite. In this study, we use discourse analysis for the identification of formal discourse characteristics, like markers of correlation that link the arguments of discourse and for a complete opinion. Critical discourse analysis is used to compare the frequency of coreference markers usage in written and spoken media discourse. As a part of this work, we have collected some text for the future corpus. The text includes these texts are from 2000 to 2020 years. They are already divided in two parts, in spoken media discourse and written media discourse. The part with spoken media discourse has more than 400,000 words. It includes texts that are divided into two types, interviews and speeches. Text from the interviews were collected from the online versions of Ukrainian newspapers, magazines, and online publications. Texts with speeches consist of Ukrainian politicians' speeches. The part with written media discourse has more than 1 million words. The texts in this section are divided into discourse from the social network Facebook and newspaper discourse. It includes text from newspapers Кримська Світлиця, Галнет, and Українська Правда. A significant part of this section also is posts on Facebook of Ukrainian politicians, activists, actors, and scientists. Most files were obtained from Ukrainian Corpus Grok, and also in order to collect some articles, From web pages, we use method of scraping web pages with the library Beautiful Soap. All texts are stored in TXT format with UTF-8 encoding. As for analysis of meta discourse, in this work we parse an XML document with Ukrainian discourse markers. For collecting markers from the XML document, we use XML mini-DOM module. Some markers also have a colon in the middle or at the end, so for better search, we use a regular expression to edit them. After that, we count how many times each marker appears in the written and spoken part of corpus. Also, we count the relative frequency of a certain marker per 1,000 words in a corpus, as it is divided into 2 unequal parts. Then we use model pandas, matplotlib, and scene-board to visualize the results. Analyzing the obtaining results in the form of data frame and diagram, we conclude that discursive markers are more common in spoken media discourse than in written. Markers that have the highest relative frequency of appearance in the text are their English equivalents are and, also as, in addition, and but. Most of these markers connect the arguments of discourse to indicate the connection between them. Their semantic feature is additionality, so they are used to continue the same thought. To summarize, this research proved that discourse markers are characteristics of spoken discourse rather than written. It happens due to the fact that human thought in oral communication is uncontrolled and more often spontaneous. In written markers, writing markers appears less often due to the fact that author in written message formulates statements in advance. In future, it is planned to finish the corpus of Ukrainian media discourse and develop software for parsing the media explicit discourse of the Ukrainian language. That's all. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you, Maria. Questions, please?
Yeah, I have one question. What was the reason for the choice of such markers, Masha? Please tell me.
This is, they're not was chosen, so this is the whole markers that can appear in Ukrainian discourse. So this is just all the words that can be markers in the discourse.
Okay, thank you.
I also have a question.
Please, Sonia.
So I noticed that you used graph corpus as a main corpus. What is the reason for choosing that exact corpus?
We chose this corpus because Maria Shvedova was very kind to give some text, and that's why this corpus is really great for such analysis. That's why we chose it.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
I have a few questions. First of all, thank you for contributing text to the GRAC. Not only the GRAC gave text, but Maria also. It was an honest exchange. And I'd like to ask you, can you return to the slide with markers? I have a question on it.
Yes, of course.
Yes, that.
Oh, sorry. Here, right? Or,
No,
you
with
with the diagram, right?
Yes.
Yeah, here.
What is is this relative frequency or absolute frequency?
It is relative frequency.
And you found only markers of spoken text, and where's any markers of written text?
No, these markers.
All markers are.
Or mark. Yeah, this is all markers, and this. So here you can see the markers with the highest appearance in text. There are a lot of them also, but they appear less often, so I can show them in this diagram.
And my question was, if you found some markers which are more often in written texts than in spoken.
Yes, I have such also diagrams. I couldn't put them in the presentation, but they are like the same as they are more they are not like these small like e or chi. So they like також, через, so they are more sorrow, I think.
Також, I see here. Також is equal.
Yeah, they are equal. Yeah, I have the diagram also. Maybe in future when I will continue this work, I will also include it in the presentation. So there are interesting results.
And Maria, have you looked at the constructions also?
No, this is gonna be because actually the future work will be to divide the discourse markers and just connectives, because not all discourse not this A is not actually can be a discourse marker. It can be just a connection between two words. So they are not. So in future we will look at the constructions, and we will annotate whether this is a discourse marker or not. So now it is like the first results, and in future it is planned to look more deeply on it.
Super, super. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question.
Yeah, thank you. We will continue. And the next presentation is an approach of extraction of verb-noun patterns from news data stream. The speaker is Uliana Romanova, please. Uliana, please turn on your
Dear
microphone.
participants, let me present our research, an approach to extraction of verb-noun patterns from news data stream. Sorry for some problems. In the presentation, we report the state of the art, our solution to the problem, and comment on conclusions. The applicability of our project is that the identification and extraction of collocations is a part of the general problem of natural text recognition. And the need for such studies is that explained primarily by the high frequency of collocations in the text of different functional styles, because today collocation plays the role of the basic unit of meaning, use, and translation. Thus, identifying patterns of verb alignment in textual data is an important aspect for compiling dictionaries, learning and processing natural languages. The aim of the research is to analyze the methods of collocation detection for the development of an algorithm for automatic extraction of verb collocations from the news text corpus. Studies of the text corpus make it possible to identify collocations and a degree of connection between their components. So, by collocation, we mean a phrase that has the features of a syntactically and semantically integral unit, in which the choice of one of the components is based on the content, and the choice of the second depends on the choice of the first. And there are the following types of collocations: verb, substantive, and adjective collocations. In general, the stages of collocation extraction from text corpus are as follows: finding potential candidates, providing a measure of the statistical significance of collocation in the corpus, establishing the linguistic correctness of candidates, measuring the semantic non-composition of candidates, and developing objective criteria for identifying an expression as a collocation. In total, there are more than 80 statistical measures for automatic extraction of multi-word units. In our research, we have analyzed the most commonly used measures, such as point with mutual information, or PMI, probability coefficient, Pearson chi-squared test, MI measure, log likelihood measure, and T-score measure that we apply in our project. The discourse measure takes into account the co-occurrence of the keyword and its collocate, answering the question of how non-random is the strength of the association between the collocates. To establish the linguistic correctness of collocation candidates, the following existing parsers were considered: early algorithm, CKY, MAD parser, and the Stanford parser that was chosen to extract verb-noun patterns from a news data stream. Thus, the following algorithm for extracting collocations is proposed. Downloading the design corpus of news texts, using the Stanford parser to determine the syntactic relations of verbs in the corpus of texts, forming a list of verb collocations based on the previous stage, calculating t-score to determine the strength of the association connectivity between the collocates, and forming the final list of key collocations in the developed corpus of text. So we can draw a conclusion that methods of automatic extraction of collocations have been analyzed, and algorithm of automatic extraction of verb collocations from the corpus of news text with the use of syntactic parsing and a statistical measure has been developed. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Dear participants, ask your questions, please. Are there any questions? So I will ask, why have you chosen this type of collocations to extract from news data?
We thought that this type of collocation is more often we can more often meet these types of collocation in our in the text, especially in the news text, because they are always updating and represent activities, etc.
Okay, thank you, Uliana. So let's go on. Yeah, and the next presentation is linguistic features of designing open-ended test systems. The speaker is Anastasia Shapovalova, please. Anastasia, we can't hear you. Please try again. Can you hear us? Maybe something wrong with your internet connection or sounds. Okay, maybe you will try to join the session again. Okay, please do it right now. We can't hear you. Okay, while you are trying to correct your problems, I will turn on the video that you have prepared before, and then you may comment your video. Please, let's do it. One second. Okay, I see that there is a problem with translation of the video, that you can see it. It's a pity. 1 second, please. This delay. So, Nastya, could you tell something that we could hear you? No, we can't hear you. And we can't translate your presentation. So let's do in this way. We will try to do it in the next part. Nastya, please join us in the next part. Yeah, we will listen you at the end of the session. And now, if you've got such a problem, so we should end our session. I thanks to all the students and participants for your interesting presentations and discussions. We end the first part of the student session. We will continue in 15 minutes. Yeah, and invite everyone to join the next part of the session. So see you at 10 minutes to 2 p.m. Please.